actually you could watch all of those quite comfortably in one sitting.
Exactly. If there was Salford Wakefield, I don't know if I would. But these ones, there's something to get excited about anyway, because it's Super League back. But there's something definitely to get excited about there. A side announcement to this is that next year's Magic Weekend will be held in Newcastle, following confirmation that this year's will not be rescheduled. The event was postponed, and initially they were hoping to do it, but obviously when they've decided on this 22-round format, it was all but confirmed that Magic Weekend wouldn't go ahead as planned this year, or at all this year, sorry. And now it's been officially confirmed today before we started recording. Tim, what that means is we're on the back foot at booking hotels. This is problematic for us for booking hotels, and let's face it, every hotel's going to be asking for a lot of money from everyone next year to make up for this year's losses, so we'll see how that goes along. But the event is going to be held on the 29th and 30th of May next year, and tickets purchased for this year will be valid for next year, so you don't have to do anything, you just go next year, which is
perfect.
Which is a positive that they've come out with that announcement, and that there's not as much hassle for fans. I don't know if there's also going to be something about people who do want refunds if you can't make it next year. I assume that will be sorted out in due course.
Yeah, well. you've got statutory rights there that apply. So yeah,
the slight delay will just have been about making sure Newcastle was available next year after we'd confirmed things, I suppose. But I'm excited. What about the later start to next season? Do you think that leaves some questions up in the air that we haven't answered yet and no one's really talked about next season? Will it be a shortened season as well?
I think so. I think it would be sensible if it was.
I agree.
I think one thing and another, I think we don't know how all this is going to play out anyway, whether that date is achievable, whether there'll be further delay. I mean, there's a high chance playing deep in the winter that we might have some weather-related delays anyway. So we might have some postponed or rearranged games. Things could move around or be difficult. I think you've got to think of the loading of the players, that they're going to be playing a lot of games in a short space of time. And because we've got the World Cup at the end of the year, I think if we didn't have the World Cup at the end of the year, it'd be different. You could have a bit of a spillover and you could just spread it out a bit. But I think with the World Cup and it being so important that we have as many fit players in there, whether we have to introduce something like a player loading, so anyone in the elite performance able to play X number of games, something they do in rugby union to manage workload, whether we have to introduce that next year or enforced breaks.
For that though, wouldn't they? And they don't have the money that the RFU.
They would, yeah. Whether we introduce some sort of break or some sort of incentive to make that happen, whether we get rid of the snooker loopy fixtures, that's another question that everybody's fingers crossed for. Obviously balanced off against the need for extra revenue because we've not had any at all. But I'm wondering if that's the easy cut is just to get rid of those loop fixtures, perhaps finish a little bit earlier to then give an extra lead in time to the World Cup, which gives players either the chance of a break or some more training, some national team camps. Lets the England side go away and have a proper camp before the thing. I think that they'd want to do that if possible. Perhaps some proper friendly warm-ups for the World Cup because they won't have played together under Coach Sean Wayne at all. So whether they want that is another question.
Yeah, they're all sort of questions to be answered, but it's great to have the answer to the question, when will we see Super League again? And we're going to see 3 fantastic games. Also reported on the 26th of June, 4020 News reported that Catalans Dragons, another professional sports team in France, have been cleared to resume initial training after restrictions continue to be gradually lifted by the Minister of Sport, Roxana Maricianu. Anyway, looks like Catalans are going to be back in training by the time we talk to you all next week, which is good for them. It gives them 4 weeks training before they hop on a plane over to play against St Helens. So all interesting stuff. I think most clubs are now sort of being mandated to return at least 3 weeks before their first fixture. So we would expect to see everyone in Super League training again by the middle of July.
Perfect, yeah.
On the sort of updates from clubs, Warrington Wolves chairman Stuart Middleton posted an update for 2020 members. He explained how players, coaches and staff have accepted salary reductions, with some accepting cuts with some of them accepting cuts whilst their workload has increased. So getting it on both ends, those people. So credit to them for their backing of the club. Others have been furloughed for several months. He confirmed that he and his fellow directors have committed a seven-figure sum to help the club through the current period. He also asked fans to consider the options that the club will soon be giving to fans as an alternative to asking for a refund. The options will be finalised as soon as possible. He basically was saying what we've seen from some of the other clubs now, which is, we've done our bit, can you do your bit? And then kind of asking fans to be open-minded about these options rather than just immediately asking for a refund, which suggests they're building some incentives for the package that they're going to offer. I think Hull FC have come out with a fairly similar, apart from not talking about the amount of money committed by directors, a fairly similar statement today, Monday. So it's worth mentioning that they've done the same thing. Wigan did theirs last week as well. We talked about, and St Helens have started to put options to fans, but I don't believe have opened up the window for what fans will do. And then Leeds Rhinos are the only ones we've actually seen the formal options out in the public from. They've presented 3 options to their fans, although urged fans to wait to get emails before contacting the club due to limited staff currently working. The options they'll be giving to fans are: donate your refund credit back to Leeds Rhinos to help the club. For this, the member will get a 3-year price freeze, a free hospitality matchday experience, entry to a behind-the-scenes tour prize draw, and acknowledgement in a matchday programme. Option 2 would be to pledge to renew your Leeds Rhinos season membership for the next 3 consecutive years. As a sort of kickback for that, it'll include a value of credit due back to them for 2020 spread over the cost of that 3-year membership, and they would be getting the 3-year price freeze as well on that. Or they could take a pro rata refund. The refund credit will be calculated on a pro rata basis from the home games missed due to them being played behind closed doors, or home games that may not be played during the remainder of the 2020 season. So that's the loop fixtures that we've lost. But fans will still have their seat and standing position held for 2021 renewal priority period. So they're quite good options. I think there's some sort of kickback and acknowledgement for people who are willing and able to donate their refund back to the credit. And I like the way it's been framed, in that you're donating your refund credit back rather than the key word in all of them is refund. So I like that. And
what's good about that as well is that potentially you got yourself a bargain. If you're going to be someone that's going to be coming back year after year anyway, you get yourself a 3-year 3-year price freeze. That's something you're going to want anyway. So if you're able and in the position to be able to do that, then you could do well out of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know some of the other clubs that haven't given their options yet are waiting on confirmation around television rights to the games, because they're hoping that Sky will give up sort of their exclusivity of live broadcasts on games that they don't select to be their televised game, because then they'll be able to show those games live to season ticket holders through their own television channels, which I know that those clubs, I understand that those clubs will be looking to offer for free for the remainder of this year to any 2020 season ticket holders. So I know that's going on at least 2 of the clubs. So that's why they're waiting to give their options. But that sounds appealing too. Clubs are looking at things like what Leeds have done with that matchday programme acknowledgement, whether there's going to be something similar, slightly different, maybe at different clubs, but acknowledging the people who leave their money with the club. But what I would want to stress is, as fans, we need to be sensible here and not slag off anyone who needs to take a refund, and not call them less of a fan because they've needed to take a refund, because I don't think that's reasonable and fair. But I would also encourage everyone who can afford to leave their money with their clubs to do so.
Yeah, and I've seen it in football, where in football I'm a Brentford season ticket holder, and we've had similar sort of options that you could choose to donate your money to the club, and that got you a streaming pass where you can watch all the games live, and that included the home and away games of the season. So that was made slightly more appealing in that way. You got your photo on a banner inside the ground, and that was only for season ticket holders. So that was quite good. They didn't have it open, so any Tom, Dick, or Bin Laden could join in. They made sure that it was just for season ticket holders. That made it feel quite special. And I've been told that a club design face mask is on its way to me in the post. So merchandise you never thought you'd end up owning 12 months ago. And I own some random merchandise, but I think a Brentford face mask is definitely one of them. Or you could choose to have your refund if you wanted it. But I think, if not everyone's going to be in a position. I'm quite fortunate that for me, missing a few games wasn't going to be a problem, and financially, actually, I've in a slightly
it's more
better position.
emotional than financial for Brentford fans missing the last few games of this season, isn't it?
Well, number one being that we're in the best position we've been for 70 years, 80 years. Number two is that we'll never get to see Griffin Park again. So, it's very, very strange. But I'm in a fortunate position where I can afford to have that choice. Not everyone's going to have that choice, and it's understand that doesn't in any way diminish your fandom. And the same way, if you don't hold a season ticket, not everyone. Season tickets don't work for everybody as a mechanism.
No, exactly.
Just because you're not a season ticket holder doesn't mean you're not a fan. And in fact, I know some people with season tickets in different sports who I think are probably less into it than people that don't. I don't think that's necessarily a measure.
One thing I would say about the refund situation is, obviously at this stage, there's a difficulty with calculating refunds on the basis of we don't know how many games people won't be allowed to go to.
Yeah.
At this stage. So people will have to be patient with their clubs around the refunds, because you only know so far that you're getting 3 home games back. That's all we know for certain so far. So please do be patient with your clubs around that, and be nice to all your fellow fans, whether they can afford to leave the money in the club or whether they need to take a refund. That just be nice, and we're all in this together. We're all getting through this together. And a rugby league club is not a multi-million-pound business. It's just not. That's just not a reality compared to, say, multi-million it is, because it gets more than 1 million. But it's not a flush business compared to, say, a NFL franchise or a top 6 Premiership club.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the news, Tim. Some really good pieces of news in there, weren't there? So
yes, it surprised me.
Yeah, things to be happy about. So thanks to the people who got in their views as well on the news there. That's good stuff. We're going to now move on to match reviews, where we'll be talking NRL. Time to talk about the NRL and our fan match reviews, and we had some cracking games to talk about this week, Tim. Let's start on last Thursday. It was the Panthers 20, the Rabbitohs 12. Tom Burgess made 112 metres. We had a fan viewing.
Yes, we did, from DVD HNTR. Yes, it is David Hunter, smiley face. Kickhouse hair is so bad, looks like he's trying to be the Tiger King. Maybe he'll next dye it red and join Lee. Centurions.
Well, there is form there, isn't there? But Kickhouse hair wasn't the main takeaway from this game for me, but nice insight, David. I enjoyed it. Did you happen to see this one, Tim?
I didn't catch this one. No, this was during work time, and I was actually having to concentrate this week.
I mean, the Panthers have to be considered sort of a real threat this year. This is another impressive victory against a good side. Certainly a good side that wasn't playing at its best. I mean, Latrell Mitchell had his worst game of the season so far. But that's not to take anything away from a Panthers side that were